What does Joe Rogan's ice bath mean to you?
This forge, Joe Rogan's original forge,
my cold plunge, my Morozko Forge.
it reminds us of the way that ice baths show up on Instagram. It's like a stunt. People say, well, they're just doing that for attention. And you see the ice chunks floating in the water, and it is a little bit spectacular. But that's not why the Joe Rogan Experience podcast and this forge is meaningful. Joe has probably done more for the health of America than all the institutions that the government funds that are supposed to be concerned with the health of America. He's had Peter McCullough, he's had Robert Malone, he's had Peter Otez on his Joe Rogan Experience podcast so that people can get the information from all sides of the political spectrum and decide for themselves what kind of health they want to have. This is what the original Joe Rogan Forge means to me, is we want to get the knowledge and the equipment out there to people so they can choose their own health condition. You don't have to get in the ice bath and you don't want, but if you know what the ice bath will do for you, then you can say, I choose that. I choose brown fat. I choose a healthy metabolism. I want to take care of my brain. I want to use the ice bath to boost my testosterone. Now that Joe is talking about it, he's bringing experts in who know about how to take care of your health. He's empowering the country to choose their own health condition for themselves, without their medical doctor, without their pharmaceutical company, without the hospital, without the institution. And that's incredibly empowering. This is why I'm proud of this unit, because of what it can do for you and what it can do for Michelle and Chris and everybody else out there who is curious about the same things that Joe's curious about.
It represents so much more than just ice and a bath. It represents health and taking control of your own health.
Independence from centralized medicine. This is freedom from the policy choices that would take your own individual choice away. That's what it means for me.
So I am here with Tom Seager, the owner and founder of Morozko Forge, and we are standing in front of the original ice bath of popular podcaster Joe Rogan. So this is like the ice bath that, in my opinion, put cold plunging on the map. So tell us a little about it. How did Joe get affiliated with Morozko?
Joe works with a guy in Austin, Brigham Bueller, and Brigham will scour the internet looking for the latest, greatest thing in health and wellness that isn't associated with the hospital, that isn't associated with the medical establishment. Brigham's been on the Joe Rogan Experience, and so Joe was a customer, a client, whatever the right word is, at Ways to Well, this wellness operation that Brigham runs. Brigham had a Morozko, and when we heard Joe, who'd interviewed so many people doing ice baths, including Wim Hof and Ben Greenfield and Kevin Hart. And we heard Joe on his podcast say that he was starting to think about maybe he was ready to do an ice bath. I called up Brigham and I said, if Joe's going to do an ice bath, I want him to do it in a Morozko. Brigham thought that was a great idea. He contacted Joe and said, you know, these people are heard about you wanting to do one. Will you try theirs? And Joe wanted to know if we were crazy. Brigham, if he's honest, he had to say yes. But we weren't crazy in the kind of way that would really bother Joe. And he said, well, he would check it out. We wanted to do something special for him. So we got this plywood, which is a cedar ply. This is an aromatic cedar like you would make a closet out of. And we thought that this was going to be good because it would be a little bit more durable. But frankly, we didn't think of this. It was a famous movie star from Hollywood that called us up in the really early days, wanted an ice bath, but could we make it cedar? And we thought, well, sure we would. If we were going to give Joe an ice bath, we wanted it to be at least as good as the one that this movie star has, right? So we went with the cedar ply and we burnt in some additional features in the wood, but you can probably see that this one has taken a heck of a beating. Evidently, Joe's backyard is a tough environment for wood. So this is the one that he did his 20-minute ice bath on Instagram, the video that went viral. But it didn't take long for us to make technology improvements, to make it colder, to improve the angle of the back and say, Joe, we want to upgrade you again. We want you in the latest and the greatest. And so we swapped out his old one, the one that we have here, and put the newest Morozko in his backyard. When this came back, our crew said, well, we can't just throw it out. It's not trash. You know, it's like a museum piece. It has, you know, a place in the history of the ice bath industry. So they wanted to restore it. They put in new mechs and they upgraded the cooling. They want to use this now as an employee unit. And I asked them not to touch the surface, not to change this weathered, aged look, because it meant something to me. In our very early days, when we were showing our designs and we were trying to get feedback, I met with a woman in Scottsdale, and she knew something about marketing and fashion, and she said we were going about this totally the wrong way. She said what we should really have is like a sleek, plastic formed look, make it look more like a float tank, build in some lights. She said the ladies would really go for it because it would be so modern. She goes, your unit looks like it was built in the barn. I said, I wish I had a barn. I mean, we're stuck in a backyard right now. We build them all outdoors, but we wanted something rugged that looks like it would take a beating. And the age that this unit shows, to me, captures that sort of that Arizona Wild West rugged barn look. I don't want to fix this one up. I don't want to refinish it. I want to leave it like it is and see if it ages as gracefully as I'm hoping I do.
Yeah. I mean, quite frankly, I would think this should be like in a museum somewhere in like 100 years.
This would be, right? The ice bath that started the craze, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you think of Joe's viral plunge in it?
Oh, it's the most boring 20 minutes of Joe Rogan that you're ever going to see. You know, he's just sitting in here, right? And he's going for 20 minutes. There's no jokes. There's no banter. It's just Joe in the ice bath. But it was so unusual at the time that people couldn't take their eyes off of it. And when he came out, he said later that he tried to do a little rewarming and then he drove into the studio because he's got to go to work. Do not drive until you have rewarmed. You don't have like full command of your brain. Your blood isn't going in the right places yet. You don't have the dexterity. And probably the most dangerous thing about the 20 minutes Joe did in his Morozko was the drive that he did 20 minutes later.
Right, right. So what kind of ice bath is Joe rocking now? You guys sent him a new one?
Yeah, and that's going to be out of date in a couple of weeks too. We sent him one that is a little more ergonomic, that has better cooling in it, but in another month, we'll come out with another model, 3 times the filtration, 3 times the flow, 3 times the ozone. And now that you got me on camera, it's kind of embarrassing because we haven't offered that new one to Joe, and we always want him to have like the latest and give us the feedback on how he likes it. But every year it seems we're making new technology improvements that pack more value into smaller spaces. So maybe we'll, get a message from Joe when he sees it on Instagram and say, what's up with the more flow?
Yeah, so obviously you guys did Joe Rogan's ice bath. And from what I hear, you guys offer a ton of custom solutions, tons of celebrities, pro athletes use your stuff as well.
One of the big advantages of building here in Phoenix out of wood is that we can do whatever we want. We can make it any color we want. We can make it any shape or size that we want, because each one of them is handcrafted. So instead of going to a computer-guided factory with a mold and all the plastic that comes with that, which is really inexpensive when you go to scale, we're more costly and we're more customizable. So we get a lot of requests from people who either have a particular footprint or they have a particular decor, and they ask, can you do this? Can you do that? Our answer is always yes. The only question is how.
So question, did Joe pay for his first ice bath?
No, we gave him the first ice bath. We thought he was doing us a favor by trying the first ice bath. And he liked it so much, he called us up and he said, I want to get one for my friend Cam Haynes. That's the one that Joe paid for. We haven't paid Cam or Joe a dime. And we've been so fortunate that they want to brag, that they want to tell their listeners about what they're doing, because it's been great for our brand. But I think it's probably more important that it's been great for the people who are either trying to get their testosterone up or working on their brown fat or trying to pre-cool their workout. Joe and Cam have probably done more for the health of America in the last 2 years than all the institutions that are supposed to be in charge of the health of America.
That's for sure. If Big Pharma could make money on ice baths, they'd be prescribing it, but unfortunately they can't. Cold water's free, so they can't market it up and put in a pill, so that's it. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing. Follow Tom Seager. I'll put all of his links in the description of this video.
Thanks for coming out, Mike.
Thanks for having me. Cold plunging in the first ice bath that Joe Rogan has ever owned. I think he only stayed in for like a minute his first time, but here's me in it. Pretty spacious. I gotta say, this is probably the closest I may ever get to Joe Rogan, but I'm not mad about it.